Hello everyone, this is Rao from H2K Infosys. Okay, so today's agenda is about H2K and why automation is required. So what is the demand for automation testing using Tosca and how the jobs are and other things. So welcome everyone to H2K Infosys. So we started H2K in 2005, is almost like 20 plus years experience in IT training and software development, staffing and on-job support. So, as I see some information or from your background, so most of you guys are already have some IT experience, and you wanted to switch to automation testing, and maybe like some of the folks, maybe IT management, and you want to train your team to make the automation testing easier, right?
Yes.
So, why we need automation testing before we even jump into the actual tool? Anyone can just brief about why we need automation testing?
To make a
I
regression.
think, okay.
Go ahead.
I think with the automation testing is probably is expedite the process to perform in testing the applications.
Yes, you are right. You explained the process.
Okay.
Yeah. Any input from any other participants? Aditi, since you already managing the team, so why we need to automate the applications? So if you see,
Yeah, can I answer?
yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, to make a regression suite faster for execution and manual testing, it may take like 2 weeks, and we can execute in automation like maybe 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, faster
Absolutely.
than yeah.
Faster than manual testing, right? Yeah, we can also eliminate some manual mistakes and all those. As you all aware that we are in agile environment. In agile, we have a 2 week sprint. Now, within 2 week sprint, we have to complete the current new releases, new features, as well as we have to test the regression cases. And if you find a defect, we have to retest all the defects and making sure the new defects are not the defects which are fixed defects are not impacting the existing functionality. So we are not only testing the QA environment, right? Once the code is deployed in the development servers, we have to test the development servers, making sure their unit test cases are working fine. And once it is deployed to QA, we have to make sure all the regression test cases or existing functionalities are working fine. Even sometimes we have to do smoke testing. Some of the high level functionality has to be tested before we jump onto this QA. So in our CI/CD pipeline, continuous integration and continuous development, once the code is deployed, automation testing has to be executed. Once the code is deployed, we are not, let's say the code is deployed around 2 o'clock in the morning or maybe 11 in the night or whatever the time the code is deployed. The next minute or next second, once the build is ready, the next second, we have to test the application and confirm this application is ready for further testing or for next step. So we are not just sitting and waiting for the code deployment and clicking on the buttons manually. So that is why we need automation testing as part of the CI/CD pipeline. Once the code is deployed, automation script has to be triggered immediately, so that in every single environment we can able to making sure the code is working, the new code, whatever whenever it is released, that is not breaking, or at least it is working the important functionalities. So that is why you must need to have an automation scripts. So every company, every project, they develop automation test cases for regression testing. Even for the new features also, simultaneously they are developing the automation scripts. So that is the advantage of automation. It's only it's saving time, as well as it has to make sure the CI/CD pipeline, everything is continuously flowing. Okay. But here, since we have only few weeks time, like few days time, not few weeks, only what happens, let's say, if the sprints start on Tuesday, Wednesday morning, and the new features are not ready to test immediately, and most of the time, the code is ready for testers on maybe 2 days before the end of the sprint. If the sprint ends on Tuesday, the code might be ready on Friday, or mostly sometimes on a Monday or Tuesday. So we have only few days, like maybe a couple of days, to automate the functionality. That is why most of the time when you are using the Selenium automation, we are way behind the actual plan. Because if you want to write, if you want to automate the functionality using Selenium automation testing tool, it takes time, because we have to develop the code. We have to write the code in Java or some other language, Python or any other language, to automate the functionality. So that is where the Tosca is introduced. So let me discuss about the difference between the Tosca and Selenium. So if you see my screen here, the Tosca and this is Selenium. You know, like Selenium is one of the popular automation tool, but nowadays like Tricentis Tosca is taking over slowly in the current automation testing market. Let's review the main differences between Tosca and Selenium. So Tosca is like commercial, we have to pay license, whereas Selenium is open source. But there is a disadvantage of even if it is open source, but I will talk about that. So primary language support is like there is no coding required in Tosca. That is the main important advantage. It's like model based testing. It's like low code, no code test tool. Whereas Selenium, we should write the automation test scripts by using Java or Python or the supported languages by Selenium. The user interface is basically in Tosca, we just drag and drop to automate the functionality. We don't have to write any scripts. But like in Selenium, you have to write the script. It's ease of use, like it's a very very easy to use this Tricentis Tosca. But Selenium, it's not very simple. Because it's a script based. You should be good at Java language or Python or any other language that is supported by Selenium. So whereas design approach is like model based, where is like no code or low code, whereas it's a code driven in Selenium. And Tricentis Tosca supports web applications, desktop applications, mobile apps, APIs, SAP, Salesforce, mainframes. So Tosca supports many different platforms, but Selenium is primarily on web-based applications. So when it comes to test maintenance, Tosca is a low maintenance because there is no code, right? So you can reuse the objects many times. We can reuse the test cases without writing any code. But whereas Selenium, we have to write the code. It's a very high maintenance. I will give you some of the examples after completing this. So integration with CI/CD pipeline, like Tosca also supports, as well as the Selenium also supports both. Parallel test execution. Parallel test execution means, let's say we have 100 test cases. If you execute one after another, even with automation tools, let's assume it takes 1 hour to execute all 100 test cases. But if you execute them simultaneously, let's say I have like 4 different virtual machines, on each mission I want to execute like 25 test cases. So instead of executing instead of taking like 1 hour, we can complete the execution in maybe like 20 seconds or 20 minutes or 15 minutes. So parallel test execution is supported by the Tosca also. But whereas Selenium also supports, but it required more coding and more different settings. Okay, test data management, that's very important, test data management. Like to manage the test data, we can use Excel files or CSV files or database, all those things, right? So using Tosca, we don't need any third-party libraries or anything required or frameworks are required. So Tosca has inbuilt features. We can directly connect to database by just drag and drop some of the things and provide the user ID password, write some SQL queries directly. But Selenium, we have to connect with multiple libraries, write a lot of code, so much lines of codes. Okay. Reporting and analysis is very easy and detailed. It's easy to track in Tosca. But whereas Selenium has little more complex. AI and ML capabilities, like nowadays it's all artificial intelligence based applications like self healing. I will explain what is self healing means. But here in Selenium, we don't have any option of self healing. We have to write the code to fix any problem. But whereas Tricentis Tosca has a self healing proper advantage that I can explain you how it works. And support and community, since it is a license based software, we'll get a support from the company. Of course, there is a cost involved in Tosca, but whereas Selenium is free, so best for enterprise end-to-end automation testing tools with low code. But Selenium is mainly developers and automation testers also with writing the code. Even if you spend money to purchase a license using Tosca, you don't have to invest on experienced automation testers. You just need to have some basic knowledge about automation testing. Then you should be able to handle Tosca automation tool. So that means you are investing less money on the employees because we are spending some money on the license. Plus, it is we can reduce the time of development. Automation test script development will take a lot of time using Selenium, but using Tosca, the time we are investing is very less. So that is the advantage of Tosca. I will give you one of the example about self-healing property in Tosca. So let's say you take Amazon.com. Right now, you can see like a sign in. This is a sign in option is given. So we automated this functionality for sign in. When you click sign in button, so it is going to open the sign in screen. And it is working fine today. The test case passed, everything fine. Tomorrow, instead of this sign in, the name label changed to login. Tomorrow, the property of the label changed to login instead of sign in. If you automate this using Selenium, the script will fail because Selenium automation script we automated using we wrote the Selenium automation script to click on sign in button, not login. But if you automate this same script using Tosca, tomorrow this label change to login instead of sign in. Tosca will automatically self-healing because of the self-healing properties. It will automatically identify this button and click on this button and continue the process. So that is the advantage of self-healing property or feature in Tosca. So like that, there are many other advantages in Tosca automation testing tool. So let me open the Tosca commander. So basically in Tosca, once you install the Tosca on your local machine or using even browser, you can able to automate. So if you install the Tosca on your desktop or laptop, Then you will be launching the Tosca Commander. So this is the Tosca Commander. So you'll be creating new workspace or a new project. Let's say I click on new project, new workspace, and let me write some workspace name. So I'm using some template, existing templates, whereas we can find some examples. So I'm just selecting the standard template. So this it's created a workspace. So you can see like Tosca Commander here. So if you go to this, these are different options available. If you observe, there is something called module, requirements, test case design, execution, issues. All those things we can manage here itself. Let's say if we have a requirement for login functionality, or let me give some example of one application here. So Tricentis Tosca provided some sample application. It's called vehicle insurance application. Okay. So if you want to automate this application, first I have to scan this application. Let's say as a manual tester, what you will do, you will launch this URL from the browser. It could be Chrome or Microsoft Edge or any other browser. Once you launch this application, you enter the data. Let's say, for example, this is a drop-down box or combo box. You select the item and you enter all the details here and click next button and enter all the data manually and verify it is working. We can enter positive data and verify it is working. We enter the incorrect data and making sure it is failing. So these are positive and negative testing we will be doing as a manual tester. So similarly, we can do this using Tosca. I will give a simple example here. Okay. So if you want to, first usually what we will do, we will get a requirements. This we can write as a QA tester or product owner or business analyst can write the requirements here. Once the requirements are written, you can also write some test case designing, or you can also write some test planning and all those. Then once it is ready, manual tester also can write test cases, or automation tester can directly scan the application and develop the test cases. So I wanted to explain how to scan the application and develop automation test case here. So to scan the application, we have to use this modules folder. So let me scan from here, mouse right click and scan. Here, when I click on scan, we have multiple options. You want to scan application, that means mobile or web browser application or desktop application, and APIs. We can also automate the APIs, and we can also automate mobile applications, PDF files, remote terminals, and web drivers, Salesforce, and file scans. Right? There are multiple different type of platforms can be automated, as we discussed before. So let me automate the browser application. That means if you want to automate the application, first we have to scan the application. So I click on scan application. So once I click on scan, it is asking to select which application you want to automate. Usually, we have to close all those different windows so it will be easy and faster to identify the particular application. So I'm just selecting this and click scan button. Okay, it's taking a few minutes to access all these objects. Let me close all this so it will be. Let me start from the beginning. Let me close all different windows. So let me start scanning again. Scan application. So I'm going to select this and click scan. So here, this is a basic scan. If you click advanced, it is going to show all these objects on the screen. Either you can select these objects that you wanted to automate, or just click on basic and click on these objects that you wanted to use for your test case. So my test case is to enter data to make engine performance, all these fields, and click next button. Okay. So now I'm going to scan this. Just click on this box. So you have to click on each box to scan. I'm just clicking to capture all these objects and click next button. Okay. So let me stop here. Or if you want, you can also select these self-healing properties. So what are the objects are here? It will be taken care, but we will discuss later in the sessions about more advanced and all of this. Now I just finished the scanning of all these. Finish and close. Now once I close, see enter vehicle data. All the objects that I selected are captured. Now we see all these objects are captured. Just drag here, drag on the side. Now we can create a test case or folder. Usually we create a folder. Let's say vehicle insurance application, right? So here I can write a test case. I can create a test case using this, create new test case, or I just, since if it is my test case, I can drag this one, say select this one, drag and drop under this folder. Now the test case is created. New test case. So this test case is enter vehicle information. This for my test case. Let me move this back to inside. So here test case. So if you click this here, this is where data we are providing, test data. So here, if you click here, see the click on drop down, you see all the data is came here. Let's see, let me select BMW. And here, this is the power, right? So let's say 600 for example. This is the manufacturing date. Let's say 02/04/2024. And number of seats. Click on drop down box, you see all this. Fuel type. Let's say gas. List price. Let's say I wanted to sell this for 65,000. License plate number. H2K Infosys. Annual mileage that I am going to drive, say 12,000 miles. Because we are applying for insurance, so we have to provide the annual mileage, how many miles you are going to drive. So this is a next. So what is this? OK means next, right? So on the next, what we will do? What operation we will do on the next, the button? So the question is for you, what we will do on this button? For example, here, engine performance. To provide the data, what we have to do? We type some information, we provide the input, right? Similarly, if you want to go to the next page, what are the operation we have to do on this button? Is this question is complex? I
We
hope
can
you
enter
understand.
more. We can enter more data, based on the application.
Yeah, yeah. We enter more data, but my question is, what is this? Next is a button or input box?
Next is a button.
Button, right? What is the
Right.
operation we have to do on this button?
Click.
Click, right? That's my question. Exactly. So to click this button, see here values. If you observe these values, I selected BMW, all this data I entered, and the action mode is input. This is the input I have to provide. Similarly, here I'm not providing data, right? I'm not supposed to provide some numbers or text. Here we have to click. We have to select this option click. Since it's a button, we have to click. We have to select the click. See, now it is like this. So this is how we prepare the test data here. Of course, this is not going to be final test case. Going forward, we will be learning how to prepare the test data in Excel file or database, and how to retrieve the data from Excel or database and provide the data here. But I'm just giving a simple example on how we can enter the data and run this test case. But in our next future classes, I will be explaining how to prepare the data in Excel file or how to retrieve the data from database and provide the data here. Okay. So for one simple form, for this form, I just provided the data and I want to run this test case to making sure it is filling all the information. Okay. Now just click on save button. Now I want to run this test case or step. This is basically step. This is a test case. This is a step. I'm going to run this step. If you want to run this step, we can run it from scratch book. I will tell you what is the difference between scratch book and execution in our later sessions. So for now, I am running the test case from scratch book. See, you can observe here elapsed time and remaining time. So it is going to take few seconds to understand the application where it is, and it's going to enter the data. See, now enter all the data and clicking next button, it went to the next page. See, it came to the next page. And if you go back, sorry, you have to go back here. See, all the data is entered here. Now, if you go back to this Tosca, you see all the is green color. Everything is entered. So this is how we scan the application and execute the automation test case. It's like a drag and drop most of the time. But there are a few other things, some advanced techniques you should be learning as part of the regular class to automate the complete end-to-end functionality. We can automate the API automation testing. We can automate the web browser automation testing. And we can connect to different scenarios, how to write some if conditions. For example, if the page is not open, what we have to do. So there are multiple scenarios will be discussed as part of the regular course. So let me go over the topics that we are going to cover. Any questions on this before we switch to the next topic? Rajni, Aditi, Ven, Anusha, any questions? Okay.
No.
Not as of now. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be discussing about part of the regular course, like what is automation testing, how it is important, and also we'll be installing the Tosca on your system so that we'll be able to practice. So we'll discuss about how the test case design, workspace, how the commander, like what we discussed just now. Okay. and we'll be executing the test cases and reporting, as well as we'll be talking about different modules. Like if you see all these like different modules here, and how you're going to execute the test case here, how you're going to connect with requirements, and show how this coverage and execution status. As a test manager, you don't want to go through all these different modules. Simply you want to go to these requirements and making sure, okay, I have 10 requirements. Out of 10 requirements, how many test cases are automated, how many test cases are passed, how many test cases are failed. This is the report you want to see, because you don't want to spend a lot of time on every single individual things, right? You have so many things to do as a test manager. Once you just click on this requirements tab, you should be getting an idea about the contribution of automation testing, how many test cases are covered, how many test cases are executed, and how many passed and failed. So overall report you will be getting on the Tosca itself. And we will also link these test case defects to Jira or Qtest. We can also integrate these Tosca with Qtest. We can also integrate with the CI/CD pipeline. All the report you can see here. So we'll discuss about how we can manage the requirement and traceability matrix. Okay. So we'll discuss more both web and API testing. I will also talk about how to automate the APIs using Tosca. And as you see, like in here, different action modes, like when we have to use input, how to use buffer, when we can use verify, right? There are different action modes are here. We'll discuss about those things. And as part of this, there are multiple features available, like how to use these while scanning, how to use the self-healing properties, and how to use this if conditions, if statement, how to use the do statement, how to like in what scenario we have to use the while loops. And there are different things like recovery scenarios. So those are the things can be discussed, like test configuration parameter. For example, you want to run this test case using Edge. So what we will do is we'll configuration parameter, we'll create a browser, and we can create, we want to run this test case with the Edge. So when we run this test case, it will be running on Edge browser. So there are different kind of objects, or the operations are available. Like it's called a T box. This kind of tools, right? Multiple tools are available. If you want send keys like window operations, or let's say if you want to open URL, launch the URL, you can just use the launch URL here. So because I just opened this URL directly and enter the data, but in general, in the real-time test cases, we have to launch this URL by automation test script itself, then execute these things. So there are important things that we have to discuss as part of the regular course. So we'll be covering both UI automation on browser and also API testing. So we'll discuss about what is the API, how to test using Postman tool, and how those can be achieved and automated using Tosca. Okay. So these are the part of the regular course we'll be talking. Any questions? Rashid, Anusha, Rajani, Aditi, any questions? When?
So to practice, just I'm just checking. Like for practicing, we have a 14-day trial only, right? Other than that, we cannot.
Yeah, we can use the trial version.
Trial version is for 14 days, right? That's the
Yeah,
one.
there is a way to handle in different things.
Okay, okay, okay,
We will help you on,
okay.
since
Yeah,
you are not using for commercially, right? It's for a practice purpose.
yeah. I have it for my office, but then I cannot use it for my personal training to that extent. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
security.
will guide you.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Hi, Tammy. I think you just joined. We are about to end the session. Hello, Tammy. Hello, when since you already had some experience with Selenium, right? So,
Yes, Rao.
yeah, do you think like how the Selenium is easy compared with Selenium? I mean, like Tosca, how Tosca is easy
Yeah,
compared with
when
Selenium?
compared with the Selenium, this is not 50%, 75% easy, I can say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's mostly like drag and drop and adding some few things.
Here I have a general question to you. How is the market, IT market nowadays?
IT market is always good based on our skills and experience and how we project our profile.
Yeah.
And now, one other question. Like for Tosca, will you be suggesting at the end that if there is any certification that we can add after doing this training, if that, because if we do not have any hands-on experience as such, if certification can help, do you think it helps in enhancing the resume?
Yes, definitely it will help you to enhance the resume as well as getting jobs. But as you know, hands-on experience is the first priority,
Absolutely,
and
yeah,
certification is the additional advantage. Let's say you have hands-on experience plus certification,
that's
but I
correct.
have only hands-on experience, but I don't have certification.
Mm-hmm.
Then the client will prefer your profile.
Correct, correct.
So
It depends
this
on the
always
pool available. Yeah.
but just because you have certification but you don't have an experience, then people who has experience they will be preferred.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a question. If we just have the training for those 6 weeks or so as a just freshman, do we still have the chances to get a job, or they must require experience?
You will be gaining hands-on experience as part of the regular course that you are attending.
Yeah.
If you practice, again, my
So okay,
responsibility is to
here
make
can I
you.
stop you here? I wanted to ask you: do you also provide hands-on experience to your institution? Is any form?
Yes, hands-on experience means like you will be practicing on the topic. Let's say, for example, today I discussed about how to scan the object and run the test case. If you
Hmm.
practice on that particular thing, you will
Uh-huh.
be gaining hands-on experience. So when you are going for interview, you should be presenting your skills that I did this practically. You
Hmm.
have to show that no, I don't have just knowledge. You should not say that "Oh, I attended this class." You should say that I have a practical experience and I automated this particular XYZ application using Tosca, and I know how to use this while loop, if conditions, how to connect to database and get the data. So you have to talk about what you gain. If they ask you, okay, if you talk, okay, I have experience on how to connect to database and retrieve the data for automation using Tosca. Then they will ask you, can you tell me how you connect to database? Then if you don't know how to connect to database, if you don't explain, then they won't take your profile. But how are you going to answer that question if you practice? It does not matter if you have 6 years experience or 6 months experience or 6 days practice. The question is same and answer is same. The way you present your skill is important.
Got it.
People think that I have only practice for 6 days on how to connect to database and retrieve the data. That's enough to answer that question in the interview. You don't have to practice 6 years to answer that question about how to connect to database to retrieve the data. You just need to 1 hour, 2 hours practice to handle that question. But not only one question, right? There are like 20 different questions. You should have hands-on practice so that you can be able to confidently talk about that question. If you just listen the top lesson and if you just watch the video, if you don't practice, and if you present your resume to vendors and clients, first thing is if you don't write some experience and all those, they won't pick up your resume. And even if they are select your resume and in the interview, if you say I attended this class, I got a certificate from H2K, and they will not hire you.
Mhm.
All you have to say is, I did practice. You should not say I practiced. I do have hands-on experience on this particular Tosca tool in my recent project.
Well, there is always a question, in application when you apply any job, how long you have experience. So, what should we mention in our resumes then?
That is as per your comfortability. I am
So,
not
if you,
supposed to
yeah,
judge
go ahead.
your skill. You have to, let's say, for example, I am hosting mock interview today. While I'm hosting mock interview, I ask questions to the students. Can you tell me the difference between left join and right join? And if the answering left join means return the data from left table, right join means return the data from right table. Simple. If they answer simple thing, then I think okay, they have knowledge, not experience. But if you say select table X, table Y, this is the table, this is the data I'm getting from, this is the common data I'm retrieving. If you give some detailed answer by sharing your screen, writing the steps, everything, then I feel that okay, you have experience and I can hire you. So it depends on how you present the answer. Does not matter if you say I have 6 months experience only, or maybe 6 years experience, but I don't know how to explain the left join and right join, or I don't know how to connect to database to retrieve the data using Tosca. There is no use of telling that I have 6 years experience. Here in IT field is it completely different. You are not a doctor. If you are a doctor without experience, you cannot go to the surgery room to do any operation or surgery. As a software test engineer, you are a software tester, testing. What is testing means? You are going to this application, let's say Amazon.com. You are going to the application. You are not going to Amazon.com directly. There is something called, let's say, qa.amazon.com. Means you are testing the QA server on the qa.amazon.com. You are clicking this button. By mistake, if you click some other XYZ button, by mistake, if you delete something, nothing is going to happen. All you have to do is just to create the record again. You are not killing anyone, but you should have some basic common sense to handle few things. If you don't know how to verify this search input box, you should know, or you should learn. They have some time to learn because there's a requirement for this search input box. I'll be talking to our team members and getting all the knowledge and testing the application. But whereas a doctor, if you're a doctor, you have to cut this body and do something surgery. If you don't have an experience, if you cut something else, the person will die. That's very dangerous. That's why you need to have practical experience so many years, then only you'll be handling these operations or surgeries in the operation room as a doctor. But as a software engineer, this is how you are doing. So you don't have to worry too much about it. You need to have a strong confidence that, and you have practice. You need to have practice. I told a simple example like Aditya asked you, if I have certification, can I get a job? No. Certification is more the theory concepts, 80, 70%, 80%. Nobody will buy your theory concepts. Maybe you will get a certificate. If you spend like thousands of dollars, you go to university, you will get a best certificate. Just because you have certificate, if you are from reputed universities, they will hire you. But you need to have practical experience to handle these interview questions to get the job.
So, during this our training for 6 weeks, how many hour practice is required in order to get hands on it?
Depends on your skill set. You may able to spend 1 hour to get everything, and you are able to handle the interview question. You may able to take maybe 6 hours. It's about your capability. Maybe first couple of sessions you may take maybe 2 3 hours. Maybe next session you may just need like 30 minutes. Again, maybe not only one example. If you really want to get experience in the job, you have to explore on multiple different scenarios. If I teach how to scan Amazon.com or H2K you should explore on how another scenarios and see what are the challenges you can face and how to handle and explore more different practice scenarios. It's about your capability and your time and your things. If I give one example, you should explore on 10 different examples. Then only you will be gaining more confidence and you are able to handle the interviews. People think that, okay, I paid some money and I get some classes and I get a job. That's not going to work.
So you think in very short time, like 6 weeks, I think we can get the whole knowledge, you think, in
No.
order to perform at a job?
Again, software is a ocean. If you want to swim in the ocean, you don't have to learn how to swim entire ocean. If you want to swim in a ocean, you don't have to learn how to swim entire ocean. You need to know how to swim. So we'll build you a confidence to handle important tasks. You have to explore on top of what we teach to gain more knowledge, more experience.
Got it.
I don't want to just tell some stories to enroll into this course. We have been running this IT training from past 20 plus years. You need to gain at least minimum required knowledge or experience from this course. On top of it, you have to build some things. We will teach you how
So
to swim in the ocean. So you have to know how to use different tools to swim entire ocean.
basically, you're saying this class just provide us the basic concept.
No,
It's just up to on the individual.
don't use the basic. It's important required concepts. We don't want to say like basic means click the button, done. That's not a basic. That's a basic, but we are not just teaching how to click the button and record the things. There are many topics are covered. As I mentioned, we'll teach how to swim in the ocean, but we are not going to teach you how to swim entire ocean. I'm not teaching you how to swim in a swimming pool.
Right.
So teaching swim in the swimming pool is the basics, but I'm not teaching teaching in a how to swim in a swimming pool.
Right. Very good.
Okay, folks. I hope we got all the details about how the Tosca tool works, the difference between Selenium and Tosca, the future advantages like future jobs on Tosca, like especially that AI based tool. The Tosca is AI based, artificial intelligence, machine learning based tool. So we have so many job opportunities in future using Tosca tool. So if you want to start your journey using Tosca automation testing tool, so start as early as possible. So we are starting new batch from coming Monday. So I want you guys to start enrolling today so that we can able to help you to install the software and make everything ready so that we can start the journey from Monday onwards.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Take care. Have a nice
Yeah, thank you very much.
nice
Thank
weekend.
you for the info.
Yeah, enjoy the Friday and we'll see you on Monday in our regular classes.
Sure. Thank you.
And what time that would be?